Greetings, it's I, Dracovin. Welcome once more. We're heading back to Golarion. Yes, here at the Dracovin Empire, we're diving back into the Pathfinder role-playing games world of Golarion. I'm taking you on tour again. I'm leading you, getting my little hat on, getting my little recorder out so you can listen to me. We're heading to the Sarkoris Scar. It's really nice. It used to be infested with lots and lots and lots of demons. It still is to a little bit. But yes, take my hand, join me. We're going on tour. Also, please remember to keep your great swords, spell books, and various other tools of destruction of whatever evils we may find there at hand. You might need them. Well, it's already here. We'll just leave that there. Oops. But yes, welcome to the Sarkoris Scar. Further research. Where would we go for this? The campaign guide is a really good place originally, and the Inner Sea World Guide from 1st edition, along with the Worldwound. For updates of what happened in the Pathfinder Adventure Path, Wrath of the Righteous, and the results of that, aka going from the Worldwound to the Sarkoris Scar campaign setting from 2nd edition. That gives the best update of what's going on here now. We'll go into the history of the 3 areas this place has been called, though, overall, but yeah. There you go. Anyway, this is the symbol of our Sarkoris, and is once again the symbol of the Sarkoris Scar. What is this place? It's a jagged black gash that runs across the land of this nation that was once known as Sarkoris. It was the Worldwound, which was a yawning portal to the outer rifts, but it's closed now. And so, the land that it once was just has this scar here. Many demons remain, and the original Celtic descendants of Sarkoris are trying to reclaim the land that they lost here. It's a tough, difficult area. There is no real, true, organized group here. Probably lots of demon worship still, too. Breaking the demon's hold, to a degree, about 6 years ago has helped. But it's only been 6 years. There's a lot of work to do. A lot of things. So what do you find there? Well, a lot of land here is black, broken, uneven rock. It's basically because of the centuries-long exposure of the abyssal portals of the Worldwound. It stretches from the frigid plains to the realm of the Mammoth Lords in the west to the West Selin River, and it borders with Mendev in the east. From its boreal stone wilds in the north to the Shudderwood and Moultrie rivers, and borders with Ustalav and Numeria in the south. Some geographic features are the forest like the Petrified Library, the Winged Woods, the Forest of Embers, Needle Glens, the Lake of Lost Sun, Wolf Crags, Frostmere Fern. So there's some relatively nice places there. Sort of. Again, much of this has suffered and kind of been crushed, destroyed, smashed. But a lot of the horrible demonic influence is gone now. There are some defined regions there that we can talk about. These were more marked during the time of the Worldwound, but we can still talk about these regions as they are. There was Frostmire, the northernmost region, bordering the realm of the Mammoth Lords. It was largely a desolate land filled with stinking ferns and jagged hills. It was sparsely populated even before demons showed up in 4606. It had northern lights, but yeah, the Imperial Lord Olirant did give the people that lived there some visions of doom, so several Celtic tribes managed to escape the invasion, finding empty villages. So some of the survivors come from this area. Some of the notable settlements are Dying Light, Jormund, Shadow Spring. Again, Dying Light is basically needs to be reclaimed by the people as the major city in this world. It's a goal of those that are trying to take it back. But all the settlements are kind of gone. Rift Shadow was the region that follows the flow of Sarkora and West Sarkora rivers, except where it's considered part of Frostmere. This was a heavy trade route in Sarkoris. But, yeah. There's the abandoned city of Sortasa on the southern edge of the region. Odarin, which was only controlled by the half-fiend Aurelu Vorlesh. Also, Balashu, Raliskrad. The Circonian Steppe was the westernmost region. It was, contains basically the surviving Shutterwood. With the exception of the Shutterwood and the ruins of cities and villages, little breaks the monotony of the barren steppes. It was sparsely populated. It was herd to mammoths, woolly rhinoceros, elks, and great beasts. Basically, the barbarians from the realm of the Mammoth Lords always saw this as an extension of their hunting grounds. Dormora, Gundurin, and Moonscreen Glade are the cities to reclaim. The Stone Wilds, northeasternmost of the 5 regions, bordered to the south by the Wounded Lands, west by Frostmire. This was a vast evergreen forest known as the Forest of Stones, sacred to the Green Faith. It was overrun by demonic creatures. The Druidic defenders became desperate and used the ritual of the Blighted Soul to become undead. They developed their own wort version of Green Faith, embracing undeath and horror as the ultimate world truth. The Stonewild sect. And they continued to defend the area from interlopers, whether demonic, living, or undead. There were no settlements in this region. And finally, the Wounded Lands. Easternmost region, where the Worldwound itself was until, 6 years ago. It was closest to Mendev, in this area. This is where the planar portal fit. A cleft about a mile long. Grew, transformed into this horrible region of nightmares and stuff. Dresden and Iz are the 2 cities in this region. That's the area. Let's talk a little bit about history. We have to talk about, first, Sarkoris. Its history, its culture. What was there before demons showed up and kicked ass? Its capital was Iz, de facto. The mystics of Sarkonians had long identified the barrier between planes as being thin here, actually. Historically, the central region of Varos, known as the North Mountains, was haunted by strange monsters, infested by cultists of Deskari, the demon lord of Locust hosts. In 4433, Eridan drove the cult in the Lake of Mist Vales, and made the region safe from further demonic incursions. The old Sarkonian people worshipped a host of different gods, and heroes, many of which have now been forgotten. Some of today, including Elglen Wise, daughter of Kotachi, the stag mother of Forest and Stones, and the dawn-feathered children of Stovenen, the dragon eagle. Dying Light was the spiritual heart of the region, with an impressive ring of idols revering Perla, mistress of the stars. The central plateau was home to numerous mines, and is the center of stone and metalwork. Miners of the plateau would also trade with Erndurin, rubbing shoulders with herders of western area, bringing their flocks to market. The shaman-ruled city of Solasta remained an independent city for centuries. Following an incident in 400 AR, the High Witch Wardens of 3 other major cities, is Dying Light and Undrönden, and the warlord Uloric Drezir Gaz annexed the city and brought it into the nation. The old tribes magically preserved the collective memory of their chiefs, witch wardens, and the skulls of animals, with whom they had strong historical and cultural connections. these skulls called Herzuris were believed to be the spirits of the tribesmen themselves. And if they lost those, lost the souls as well. Now we get to the beginning of the invasion. A year before Aragon was supposed to return, a string of new demonic cults began. Sarkoris' mystics made grim predictions of the nation's fall, speaking of sending chaos and the thinness between blades in their haunting orations. Most people were confident Aragon's return would lead to the final end of these cults. The mystics were unfortunately correct. The planar instability was even more pushed because of Aragon's death, allowing for the opening of the world. Right in the heart of Sarkoris. Iz was the first to fall. And soon, the entire land. All of Sarkoris. Now, this fall was terrible. Deadly. The metaphysical alignments allowed for this. Allowed for Descarai to create this. Hey, remember I mentioned him? Man, he took advantage of Aragon's death. He really enjoyed that. He took so advantage of it and just invaded. Thrastum, the last to fall. Its sacred circles defending ferocity by tribal witches and shamans, aided by druids from Mendev and Numeria. Their last stand is commemorated in the tragic song of Sarkoris. Ionide, appalled by the invasion, declared the Mendevian Crusades in 4622 to drive back the demons, the churches. The first Crusades were somewhat successful at containing the threat, but the majority remained under control. Only the remote town of Gundren remained free during this time. Basically because of the demon's conflict with Mendev. And so a lot of the old Sarkoris people remained. The Crusades. The battles against the demonic hordes. What had to be done? It had to be done to fall this time. There's a good picture of the world. Let's talk Crusade. So, the Crusades. There were 5 Crusades that were done during the entire time. The first was the attempt to keep things in check. Basically, the first battle, the first Crusade against it, was basically Descarai testing the waters, gauging the strength and tactics before a full invasion. The early attacks were intentional, to reinforce the stereotype in the Crusaders that the enemy was a leaderless horde, bent on pure destruction and rage, unable to cooperate. Demons used teleport abilities to leave the battlefield, settle in countless locations during this first invasion and the first Crusade. The second Crusade was the counterattack in 4638. So the first Crusade was from 4622 to 4630. After the Worldwound opened up in 4606. Led by a powerful Maryland, they captured Dresden, killed a lot of the warriors and pilgrims. The Second Crusade was called to fight back against them. And the creation of the Ward Stones inhibited their ability to teleport, which Descarai hoped to take advantage of during this time. The Third Crusade happened in 4665 to 4668, because the Second Crusade was a total loss of Sarkoris, and ended with the total loss of Sarkoris and the creation of the Ward Stones. So it lulled the demonic attacks, consolidating their powers. You look at the thread of the realm of the man before it's still. Nonetheless, the Crusaders were called forth to battle against them as they tried to ferret out demonic corruption and demons once again shut forth. The crusade lasted for only 3 years before it was forced to shut down. Then we get to the Fourth Crusade, from 4692 to 4607. A Baelor, the Storm King, emerged, a powerful leader amongst the demons. He was able to take Canabras, Wardstone, to damage it, cross the frontier, drive back the Baelor, slay the dragon, Tenebra. The Fourth Crusade was called but to defeat him, before he could unite the demons. For 15 years they fought against him. But they eventually retreated, and the Crusaders were too kind to advance. The last Crusade, from 4713 to 47-8, fifth one, rose from the fourth. Sparked from the Battle of Canabras. The demons had ripped the city's defenses apart, destroyed the Wardstone. A small group of defenders gained the Wardstone's mythic powers, and led Queen Gallifrey's defenders in what soon would be called the Fifth Crusade, aka adventurers from the adventure path, Rat and the Righteous. In a 5-year-long campaign, successful for all of them, they slew Descaron, richly sealed the Worldwound, leaving only Sarkoris Scar, and where demons were stranded on the surface. And so, Crusades ended, the Worldwound, and Sarkoris could return to its people. Descaron's no more, the Worldwound's no more, but Sarkoris Scar is dangerous. With the rift closed, you would think that removed demonic influence, but no. Any demon that wasn't killed is still present. And a lot of corruption of their land remains. You can't quite get rid of that. You know, just getting rid of the source of corruption doesn't remove the corruption. So there's plenty of stranded demons desperate to survive, and plenty of planar corruption all around. A lot of those Crusaders who fought in war have headed to the south to fight the Whispering Tyrant. Guess what? He awoke him. That's probably something we should deal with. And even those that remain behind are no longer as vigilant. After it was determined that the Sarkonis cities of Iz, Urdin, and Sotarasta are far too corrupted to rebuild, they were razed and abandoned. The mines outside of Iz, the Sarkonis River, were left to the demons and to the dead. The Yoskai, known as the Ulfin Leapers, sometimes make their way far east of the Scar, aboard riverbound ships and boats. But the Sarkonis people remain, with the Reclaimers. This is a group of people, they call them by this, who are trying to restore the glory of Sarkonis. There's some ex-Crusaders, followers of the Green Faith, descendants of those that were once the old Sarkonians, who have banded together in a new semi-crusade to drive off or kill the remaining demons, to cleanse the abyssal taint from the land. From Gundren, their only permanent holding. They have fortified walls and wardstones, and they pneumatically travel across Sarkonis. They want to restore the flora and fauna. Cleaner life. They believe that this place can be settled, but still today it is too blighted to do so. So the city of Dying Light and the great druidic library of Shudderwood, which still remain in evil hands, are their most primary targets. Dying Light is controlled by fiendish cannibalistic giants, and Shudderwood is controlled by corrupted, tormented fae and druids. Wild animals that are corrupted, tainted by the outer rifts, they get rid of those. It's a painful process eliminating from the lands. And certainly speaking, there are a lot of Pitborn Cambians here, the vaults of fiendish corruption, that is sleep in the land, and where they will find their place amongst the people here. Amongst maybe the Reclaimers, maybe not. That's a question for them. There you go. There's Sarkoris. and the Sarkoris Scar, as it was named. A once powerful nation that was kind of close to the outside, to the outer planes, the outer realms. And unfortunately, it made it a target. You could see that Descarai was already planning something, had his influence here. Aridin attempted to stop him. But with Aridin's death, Descarai acted. The Worldwound was formed. And for 100 years, Sarkoris fell. The Abyss, the realms of demons, became one with Golarion and the Worldwound. Great heroes have now closed it. Descarai is dead. And I mean permanently dead. Not like somewhat dead can reform. They got rid of him. Gone. Forever. The scar. The black scar still remains. The yawning void that once held a portal. Unnecessary. Will its people reclaim its land? Honestly speaking, I do see them one day reclaiming their land truly. Will they remove all the demonic corruption? That, I don't know. Cambion blood may just be a part of their life forever. The results of the corruption may never be fully gone. Will they be able to purify enough of it? Perhaps. Maybe one day, what remains of the Sarkonian people can return home and start to rebuild the great nation they once had, the culture they once had, those that remain that remember the old, the nation that had. There aren't many, but there are perhaps enough that one day it will no longer just be the Sarkoris Scar. It will be Sarkosa. Who's to say? Alright, a little scuff in there, but thank you everybody for joining me. I hope you enjoyed learning about this. This is an area that does kind of spoil a bunch on Wrath of the Righteous, to a degree. But I feel like, you know, with us being deep in 2nd edition, and with something like the Wrath of the Righteous video game, which does kind of retell this, but it does it in a very different way. Wrath of the Righteous video game does a lot of this stuff involving the player that wasn't involving the player for the actual adventure path. So they are different. Similar, but different. So just keep that in mind before before you go, spoilers, yeah, for the game. That's not in there. But certainly speaking, yes, if you want to play Wrath of Righteous, you kind of know how it's supposed to end up. You're supposed to kick ass of Descarai, close the Worldwound. I mean, that's like, normally when you kind of like those vague spoilers like that, you're like, yeah, that's the way you want to go. That's the victory of the adventure. It's an interesting area that relates to an adventure path, and telling about how it was before things happened, during things happening, and after the adventure path is an interesting part of telling the story of this region. And, yeah, now that it's closed, there's a bunch of dudes looking at the Whispering Tyrant being like, we just got rid of a bunch of demons from our world. You're showing up? Yeah, no. Kick your butt. Granted, it's the Whispering Tyrant, which is an entirely different threat, and you might need another group of heroes similar to the last ones that foiled his plans to yet again foil more of his plans to defeat him permanently, but, some people beat up Descarai, as possible. Will Paizo publish an adventure path related to that? Yeah. Their choice. They like making stories where they like making stories. I'm not going to call for it. If I wanted to, I could use any of these things. Anyway, make sure to check out any of my other stuff. If you're here over on Twitch, just give a follow. If you're over on YouTube, like, subscribe, ring the bell. All got great stuff. Haven't you played Wrath of Righteous? Either the video game or the adventure path, or had an adventure in this region? I'm curious. Because I played through the video game. I was going to do the adventure path, but it fell through after kind of characterizations and introductions. So we only got a little bit into the adventure path. We didn't get very far. I think it was going to be a halfling alchemist, was it? Yeah, halfling alchemist. That's what I was going to do. I remember that. That was going to be an interesting character. It would have been fun. But yes, just let me know your experience with this region. Remember to check out everything that I do. The schedule's usually up on YouTube, Discord, and Twitter/X. Just tells you my both stream schedule and what I'm doing for those days, like recordings like this, and also when I upload things to YouTube. So keep that in mind. Just the Discord and Twitter/X are my social medias linked below. And yeah, and 2 things to shout out to check out. Hint, hint. Nudge, go check those out. Crimson Queen, my live play, Pathfinder 1st Edition, 8 p.m. EST on Wednesdays. Check that out. It's really fun. We're getting to the last part of the adventure, part 6. I'm 6, so we're pretty close to that. Probably a couple weeks before they're there. Very fun one. And then in Discussing Tabletop, where we talk about news of the week, Hebrew special topics in the tabletop world, 6 p.m. on Saturdays. Alright, people. I'm going to get going. Probably going to hang out with Twitch chat, maybe do some more videos or something like this. But anyway, until the next time, I bid all of you out there a deep and wonderful farewell.